When we ponder the concepts of pain and suffering, our conventional understanding often leads us to believe that these two experiences are inseparable. The prevailing notion suggests that freedom from suffering can only be attained by eradicating pain altogether. However, the profound teachings of Buddhism introduce a distinctive perspective, encapsulated in the enlightening phrase, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional." This unique viewpoint underscores a fundamental truth: pain, encompassing illnesses, loss, and injury, is an intrinsic facet of life. Despite facing these hardships, the degree of resulting suffering varies among individuals. The first noble truth of Buddhism acknowledges the diverse forms of suffering woven into the fabric of worldly existence. Importantly, Buddhism offers a path to end suffering by recognizing the inevitability of affliction from external forces, and advocating for the minimization of additional suffering. Unraveling the Buddhist perspective, the fundamental Buddhist saying, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional," serves as a beacon guiding us to understand the profound distinction between pain and suffering. Pain is portrayed as an inherent part of life, stemming from illnesses, wounds, or the loss of loved ones. However, Buddhists assert that the degree of suffering generated from these experiences is not universal. It varies among individuals. The second part of this unique perspective highlights the individualized nature of suffering. While some may navigate through life's greatest misfortunes with resilience, others may find themselves in deep agony over the slightest inconvenience. This prompts a contemplation: can suffering be managed, and does it always have to result from pain? The Noble Truths of Buddhism. This video introduces the first noble truth of Buddhism, which unequivocally states that suffering is an integral part of living in the world and manifests in various forms such as sorrow, the fear of loss, and lamentation. A crucial aspect is unveiled: everyone, at some point in their lives, encounters these forms of suffering. Buddhism, as a philosophical and spiritual tradition, doesn't merely acknowledge suffering, it offers a comprehensive path designed by the Buddha himself to end it. Central to this process is the realization that affliction by external forces is unavoidable, but through intentional practices, individuals can minimize further suffering. Impermanence and the human condition. The impermanent nature of life is explored, emphasizing that changes in the environment are constant. Buddhism challenges the notion that one can escape the unpredictable movements of the universe, and asserts that clarity about the human condition is the starting point on the path out of suffering. This video sheds light on the cultural tendency to accumulate wealth, excessively focus on self-protection, and futilely strive to maintain control over the uncontrollable. Buddhism presents a stark truth: despite our efforts to shield ourselves from inevitable changes, everything is subject to falling apart. The Eight Worldly Winds. Buddhism introduces the concept of the Eight Worldly Winds, encapsulating the dualities of pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disrepute. The Buddha's profound insights into the human predicament are shared, illustrating how individuals, trapped in the wheel of suffering, constantly pursue desires while rebelling against aversions. This perpetual mechanism leads to despair as individuals fear losing what they have and dread encountering what they seek to avoid. The duality of pleasure and pain. The intrinsic duality of pleasure and pain is explored in depth. This video delves into the profound reality that, in every pleasure, lies the seed of pain, the anticipation of its departure, and the inability to recapture it. Gain is coupled with the potential for loss, praise can transform into blame, and fame carries the risk of defamation. A critical realization is presented: the changes in circumstances are fundamentally beyond human control. Life's unpredictability, whether it manifests as a wound in traffic or a theft in a dark alley, is inevitable. Attempting to avoid pain is not only futile, but inherently painful, fostering the fear of encountering discomfort. Escaping the trap of anxiety. This video explores the phenomenon of social anxiety, exemplifying how the attempt to escape fear through avoidance intensifies suffering. While social anxiety prompts individuals to avoid social contact, this evasion doesn't eradicate the fear. It perpetuates the anxiety and generates additional suffering. Buddhist practice encourages a shift from running away from the unavoidable to learning how to handle it skillfully. This video introduces a Buddhist parable involving an arrow, where the first arrow represents the unavoidable pain in life, and the second arrow symbolizes one's reaction to that pain, avoiding unnecessary suffering. The first arrow, depicting unavoidable pain, includes scenarios like being cut off in traffic, facing insults, or experiencing relationship betrayals. While influencing these situations to some extent is possible, complete avoidance is not. However, the second arrow, representing the reaction to the first, is avoidable. By accepting the situation and moving on, individuals can sidestep unnecessary suffering. This video emphasizes how rebellion against life's inevitable changes exacerbates unpleasant situations. It elaborates on the analogy of being fired from a job, where the first arrow signifies the normal discomforts of life, such as missed career opportunities and financial consequences. Acceptance and moving on prevent the unnecessary suffering caused by resistance. The role of anxiety and resistance. This video delves into anxiety, portraying it as a physical sensation considered uncomfortable. Countless factors contribute to anxiety, and the attempt to resist this discomfort intensifies the anxiety. This video references Alan Watts, illustrating how resistance to anxiety creates a loop of worry, resembling the oscillation in old televisions. Buddhism acknowledges the existence of suffering, but concurrently offers a way to escape it. The antidote to suffering lies in following the Noble Eightfold Path, considered the roadmap to freedom from suffering and enlightenment. While this video acknowledges the vastness of the Eightfold Path, it refrains from an exhaustive exploration. Buddhist practices for relief. This video concludes by introducing the concept of space between the first and second arrows. Within this space, individuals can decide whether to let the second arrow hit or avoid it. The crucial role of awareness is emphasized, the awareness that the first arrow is inevitable, but the second is optional. Key Buddhist practices such as meditation and mindfulness are introduced as essential tools for cultivating awareness. By observing the inner landscape, individuals gain insight into their thoughts and emotions, enabling them to let go of destructive mental states and avoid further suffering. Embracing impermanence and transience. A cornerstone of Buddhist thought is the realization of impermanence. The term worldly winds effectively illustrates the constant changes between pleasure and pain, gain and loss. Clinging to pleasant circumstances is likened to grasping for water. As soon as it is perceived as secured, it slips away. This video cautions against demanding the world to remain the same, emphasizing the importance of accepting life's transient nature. This video shares a profound quote from the Buddha, highlighting the affliction of the world by death and decay. The wise, having realized the nature of the world, do not grieve. Embracing impermanence becomes a source of wisdom, enabling individuals to navigate the inevitable changes of life without succumbing to grief. Conclusion: the comprehensive exploration of the Buddhist wisdom on pain and suffering serves as a guide for understanding and applying these teachings in everyday life. By unraveling the distinctions between pain and suffering, embracing impermanence, and skillfully navigating life's challenges, individuals can embark on a transformative journey towards enlightenment. This enlightened perspective offers relief from unnecessary suffering and paves the way for a harmonious and enlightened way of living.